Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renae Elliott. Hello and welcome to part one of my goal setting series. So when you are starting out any new fitness or exercise regime, or it's the start of a new year, we always hear things about goal setting. And I think it is something that people know is important, but a lot of time the importance of it is overlooked. So by setting goals, you are giving yourself a long-term vision and short-term motivation. It tends to give you focus. It can help you organize your time and your resources so you're getting the results you really want. Goal setting definitely doesn't have to be boring, nor it doesn't have to be something that you only do at the start of your year. I personally set goals all the time. I'm always setting different goals or things, so I'm always working towards what I really want. I have seen people before that then start to feel a bit lost. They don't really know what they're wanting to do or where they're at with, I'm always exercise is my thing, but with that or with their health. And sometimes it's because they've never actually set a goal. My husband just recently had been to go and see, he went to go and see a naturopath. So he was seeing the naturopath and he was doing really well for the first month. He was quite motivated, and then he lost his mojo and he was like, I'm feeling really flat. And I said to him, it's because you never actually set a goal. He never set a goal and never had it as something tangible or something that to know that he was achieving his goal. So the momentum that he had that first few weeks or that first month, that had kind of tithered away. And then he was like, I'm really feeling flat. And I could see all the changes and how amazing he was doing and how well he was doing, but he felt really lost. And I really feel it's because he'd never set some clear, defined goals when he did start. So I wish it was something he would do, but what does his wife know? So anyway, when you are setting goals, they can really help align your focus. So, and you can't manage what you don't measure, and you can't improve on something that you don't properly manage. So this is exactly what my husband's problem was. And setting goals helps you do all of these things. So I hear lots of people saying, I just don't set goals. That's not my thing. I don't do that. Well, I think that's a whole lot of BS because the reason that this is my belief, that the reason that you're not setting goals is because you're scared you're not going to achieve them. And by actually writing goals down and putting it on paper is how you are the first starting step of achieving it. And I feel that people that just say that, it's not for me to set goals, I feel that they're scared. They're scared of making the commitment to themselves and scared to actually do something, because it could mean that you might have to work a little bit harder by normal. It might mean that you actually might fail, but that's okay. Because how do we learn? The best lessons come from our failures. So I feel that anybody, that if you are someone in that category, I want you to just think a little bit deeper as to why you think that way, and maybe there could possibly be, you could start to look at it from a different way, and I guarantee you you'll achieve your goal. It will happen. In time, it will happen. So I believe that the best lessons are learned from, the best lessons that we ever learn are from our failures. So if I use the example of a football team, so we have a football team and they win a match and they go out and they celebrate their match. That's amazing. They go out and they celebrate But when they lose, they go back to the club rooms and they might they might watch the footage, they might look over techniques or different plays that they had and see where they could improve of things. And, you know, where is more improvement happening? It's from that failure, because they went back and they studied it and they listened to it. So every time you're doing something and you have this goal in mind and you're doing something and it might not happen exactly the way you thought it would, or you didn't quite achieve it in time, you're learning something. And the lesson and the biggest result is how quickly you can get back up from when we have that. A failure is not even a word, that bump in a road. So when you have that little bump, that little hurdle, because hurdles are inevitable, it's how quickly you get back up and keep moving forward. And that's where the true growth happens, and that's where you will keep moving forward towards really achieving your goal. So goal setting is really, really important. So according to, there's lots of research done on this, but according to research, goals, they not only affect your behavior as well as your job performance, but they can also help mobilize energy, and it can lead to a higher effort overall. So goals, that they help motivate us to develop strategies that will enable us to perform at the required level. And accomplishing goals, they can either lead to satisfaction and more motivation, or frustration and lower motivation if the goal is not met. And I understand that, and that is something that you're putting there. But I think when you go off the mindset that everything is a lesson that we can learn. And we always learn from the lessons, and it's how quickly you pick yourself up and you keep moving forward. And then you see something else, or that didn't work for me this time, I'm going to do this. And it's always about how quickly you can get back up and keep moving forward. So here is 5 proven ways that goal setting can be effective. So research has shown that 90% of the time that the goals were specific and challenging, but they were not overly challenging, they ended up leading to high performance when compared to easy goals or goals that were too generic, such as do your best. Lots of people might come to me with goals and they might say things like, I want to tone up. Well, what does tone up mean to you? My idea of tone up and your idea of tone up could be totally different. And what is tone? So this is what I'm saying. So the time, 90% of the time that goals, they need to be more specific and challenging. So you know, what is tone up? So you could then, instead of saying toned up, you could then have a photo, and that is a photo of someone that you would like to look like or used to look like. Okay. Photo of, we could look at your body fat percentage, those types of things. So as part of the programs that I run, we make sure that when you are setting your goals, we then make sure that they're tangible for, you know, the 21 days or for your, for the 8 weeks, such as in the little black dress. So we're always checking on them to making sure they're achievable. So here is some 5 goal setting principles that can help improve your chances of success. So the first principle is clarity. So you want to have clear and specific goals. You want to have goals that are clear and specific. They're in order to eliminate confusion that may occur for goals that are too generic. So such things as I want to tone up. I want to be fitter. So I want, what is fitter? what is increase my fitness? Where are you at now? So that's why we've got to have clarity, and the more specific you can be, the better. Okay, the second principle is challenge. Okay, so a challenge goal is going to stretch your mind and cause you to think a little bit bigger. It's going to help you accomplish more. People might tend to say goals that are too safe, and that, you know, that they're too safe or too generic. And so each success that you have is building on your winning mindset. So that's why we want to have them, that they're a bit more challenging to help you think a bit bigger, and you will feel more motivated when you're achieving them. And number 3 goal setting principle would be commitment. So you need to commit to your goal. You need to be committed to it. And that means, yes, you are going to come across situations where you might be, let's say you had a weight loss goal, and then you had things where you were at a birthday and there was birthday cake. Now, maybe you could just eat the birthday cake and move on. That's one thing I'd recommend to do. But if you had a birthday every weekend for the whole time that you are going to, you've set this time limit for this goal, and you had a birthday weekend and you were eating cake and drinking beer and everything else, well then maybe you need to just say no to that, because that's not helping you work towards your goals. So we do need to be committed. There's other things you need to commit to, depending on what your goal is. But the more that you can commit and be committed to that goal, the more likely you are to achieve it. And that's your choice, and that's something that is all up to you. But commitment is a big thing. The next principle is feedback. So you want to receive some feedback in knowing what you're doing is right, and how you are going with this, and allowing you to adjust your expectations and plan for that. So as part of the Little Black Dress project, we always have check-ins. So there's weekly check-ins, and there is check-ins in the middle. You have a body scan, you get a check in the middle. Now this is to check and to make sure that you are on the right track towards your goals. So a couple of cycles ago, there was a girl that she got halfway through her goal, and she hadn't been tracking halfway through the 8 weeks through that cycle, and she got there, and we got to the middle point. She had her scan and nothing had changed. So she hadn't been tracking her food, she hadn't been doing of those things. So we went back and we looked at her goals, and I just said, if you're doing what you're currently doing, you're staying exactly the same. And is this still the goals that you want to achieve? And she said yes. So then I said, well, we need to look at some other strategies to put into place. Now, if we didn't have that midway check-in, she wouldn't have known that. She would have kept going on the path as she was going, and then she would have got to the end of the 8 weeks and not achieved her goal. We had this check-in, we had a great talk about it, and then it came to and then she altered her thing. She actually started tracking her food more, tracked her food every day. And so in the end of the 8 weeks, she actually achieved her goal. So she achieved her 8-week goal in actually 4 weeks, because the first 4 weeks she didn't change at all. But we needed that little check-in and that feedback to see how she was going, and what she was first doing wasn't working. So we altered it, and she achieved her goal in the 8 weeks. So that's why it's always good to be checking in. I ask, when you're doing any of my challenges, the 21-day kickstart, I ask you to always be reflecting. Look at where you're going, reflect. Is this still working? Am I working towards my goals? Those type of things. And the last goal setting principle is task complexity. So it's important to set goals that are aligned with the goal's complexity. So we need to be realistic. We need to make sure that everything is aligning, and that what you're setting out to achieve, the pathway, and you had to, all this stuff lines up. And this is something when we are helping you with your setting goals, we go through this together with you. How can goal setting motivate individuals? So research has shown that the most effective performances seems to be as a result of goals being specific and challenging. So when goals are used to evaluate performance, they're linked to feedback on the results, and they create a sense of commitment and acceptance. So it's also been found that deadlines help improve the effectiveness of a goal, and learning the goal orientation, it leads to high performance when compared to performance orientated goals. So when you have a thing that I always recommend for people to do is to once you've set your goals, have something in front of your face so that you can see it every day. Have something that you could tick off, cross off, so then you know you are working towards it and you're achieving it. Definitely people that have a direct goal and they that have their goal set out, they know what they need to do each week or day in order to achieve that goal, and they are seeing something that ticking it off, that is, they're getting that dopamine hit, and they are more motivated to achieve it than somebody that just has the goal in their head, but they've not written it down. They've not written it down. They're not looking at it constantly. So a big part of the things we do is getting, as part of the Little Black Dress Project, also as part of our 21-day kickstart, is to write your goals out and to put them somewhere where you can see them. So there is a whole thing that we do on doing a vision board and having your vision board and how to create one and how to have it in front of your face. So it's definitely having those things in place is definitely motivating and more likely that you are going to be successful. So does goal setting lead to success? Dr. Gail Matthews, who is a clinical psychologist in California in the USA, she did lots of research, and her research showed that those who wrote down their goals, they shared their goals with a friend, as well as sent in weekly updates, were on average 33% more successful when it comes to accomplishing their stated goals compared to those who merely just had formulated goals. So that's massive. So writing it down, sharing it with a friend, and having weekly check-ins, setting yourself up that you are going to be successful. Goal setting can also be really important for your mental health. It's an important part. It is a really important part of your mental health, and research has shown that ones who set goals, who wrote down completed goals, compared to people that didn't write down goals, tended to have people who didn't write it down tended to have a more casual relationship with their goals and well-being compared to those who wrote them down. So the ones who actually wrote down goals were more likely to take them a bit more serious. Psychologists have also said that setting goals has improved the outcome in treatment for those with adult depression. So another reason why having your goal setting is really important. Having goals set can help us prioritize things. So if you choose to simply wander through life without a goal or a plan, that certainly can be your choice. But setting goals can help you live the life that you truly want to live. And time does go fast. Time goes fast, and it's good to have a goal and direction and know that you're working towards something. So saying that, you don't have to live every aspect of your life clearly planned out, but we all need days where we can just accomplish nothing. But however, those who have clearly defined goals, they might actually be known to enjoy their downtime even more than those who don't set goals. So goal setting is a really, really important aspect of anything that you want to achieve in life. It doesn't have to just be fitness related. You can break it down into all aspects of your life. I set goals for health and fitness. I set financial goals. I set goals for things I want to do around the house. I set goals for how I want to improve in my work. I'm always setting goals. It's a big, big part of my life, but I feel it helps drive me. So there is this quote that I really like, and it is by Annie Dillard. So the quote goes, "How we spend our life, the things we want to do, is made up of the smaller days in between. And the same is true of achieving a goal. It is the steps in the middle that create success." So in order for us to get on track or to start thinking more about our goal settings and for them to work, there's two things that I've already gone over them, but I will just re-go over them that we need to have. We need them to be start off with small, specific, and make sure that they are measurable over time goals. Number two, we need to set specific and clear outcomes on your goal. So some things that can help you working with your goals can be doing things like journaling, different habit trackers, and things like that. Now I'm going to go through two different tasks that you can go through to help you if you feel like you're a bit stuck with what you you've never done goal setting before, you're not sure how to write them out or what your goals could even be. So I'm going to go through two tasks that you can go through them. So it's good to go and get a journal, go get a piece of paper and write these things out. If you don't already have one there, you can also pause this and come along. Okay, so the first task I'm wanting you to do is to write down your average day. So your average perfect day. So I want you to just write down what your perfect day looks like. So be as detailed as you can, and be realistic. So take out any things as in I win the lottery today, or I be realistic. But what is your average perfect day? What would that look like? So some things I want you to think about when you're writing this out, like I said, please be as detailed as you can, is what is the perfect time for waking up? What does that look like? Would you wake up and read a book? Would you wake up and do some exercise? Would you go to the beach? What would be those things you would do? What would you do once you get out of bed? Would you make a coffee? Would you go for a shower? Would you be getting ready for work? So, and then what would be the things you're doing? What would happen next? Would you be going to work? Would you be getting the kids ready for school? How would that look like? What would be the perfect daily run for you? What would happen? Would you be at home with the kids? And then what activities would you be doing? What adventures would you be having? What nutritious lunch would you be eating? And so forth. So think about your whole day and write down your perfect day. What would you do in the afternoon? Would you do something after work? What would be your evening routine? What is the perfect day for you? So I want you to be writing that down, and you could repeat it for every day. You could write one for, Monday to Friday should look this way, or Monday, write it out for every day, or have the same for every different day, or have the same, whatever works for you. And I want you to really think about the individual behaviors that you want to happen in that day. And then you'll be able to clearly see what habits you could start acting on straight away. So if you look at your perfect day, are you doing everything in your perfect day? How would that be? And what could you start doing to start working more towards that perfect day? And that would maybe help you see clearly what action steps you could already start taking. So make sure you pause this and you spend your time to be as detailed as you can in your answer. Promise me that you have paused this and that you have done that. The next task I want you to do is I want you to write down, it's called 1 year from now. So it is similar to the first exercise, but I want you to start visualizing your possible future self, what that might look like. So, and how you can adapt this from what your perfect day might look like to what your possible life could look like a year from now on. So you could, again, the best thing is just to start writing out, or you could talk it over with your partner or your family. And it can be really rewarding to share your ideas with somebody that you trust. So I want you to consider some things when you're thinking about how you would like to be a year from now. So if we thought about your work life, so what job would you be doing? Where will you be working? How will you be working? What will you be working towards, and what would you like this to look like? Your home life. So are you saving up to buy a house? Do you already own a house? If there's some home improvements you want to do, do you want to be doing things in the garden? Would you like to add in a pool? So what would you like your home to be looking like in a year? How your finances. Do you have some debts that you want to pay off? Do you want to have savings? Would you want to get on top of your retirement plans? What finances? How would you like to see your finances be in a year's time? The next thing to think about would be relationships. So are you happy? in love? Are you wanting to get married? Do you have children? Do you want to add more children? Are you looking for grandchildren? Want to be spending more time with certain people in your life, or connect with others? So what do your relationships look like? And lastly, yourself. So how do you want to feel about yourself 1 year from now? How would you mentally like to feel about yourself, physically, socially, personally? What does this look like for you? What would you be doing where you felt happy and satisfied with yourself 1 year from now? What would that look like? What would that look and what would that feel like? So again, spend some time writing this out. Be really detailed. The more detailed, the better. So once we have started writing this out, once you have it all written out and you can see what you would like to look like from a year, your life would like to look like a year from now, I want you to then start thinking about, well, what do I need to do in order to achieve this? So be realistic and don't try to achieving everything at once. So maybe choose one thing at a time. And that's something that, again, we spend a lot of time focusing on. Sometimes when people have too many goals, it seems overwhelming. Then we stop. So in part of the stuff that we do, we break it down into smaller, more tangible goals, and we work on one little thing at the time. So yeah, and again, think about what you can start breaking it down more in order to get to that future you 1 year's time, 1 year from now. So I really love doing that task, and it's really interesting to see. And it's also good to keep it somewhere, and then you can look back and you can actually be like, oh, I forgot I wrote that down, and oh my God, I've already achieved it. So that's good. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you get a little bit more clearer on what some goals, on getting goals started or set for you. So it can be difficult at times to pinpoint what you want your goals to look like and precisely what you want to achieve in life. And we can end up, sometimes we can just focus too much on what we're already in or what we're doing, and it's easier to stay stuck with the habits that we already have than go deep down and change them. Because sometimes we feel that we know deep down that we're not doing exactly what we want, but it just seems too hard to get out of the cycle that you're already in. So if you feel like you're stuck and you feel like you still don't really know what some of your goals are, I've got 5 questions that I would like you to ask yourself and see if this helps you towards achieving your goals, or towards starting getting some goals written out for what you'd like to do. So the first one would be, what are my values? So again, I would just pause this and write them down as detailed as possible. What are my values? And number 2, what drives me? What is the thing that drives you? Thing that's really going to get you going to really get what you want to do. And ultimately, what do I want to achieve? So ultimately, what do you want to achieve in anything? Why did you join this program to start thinking about goal settings? You know, what do you ultimately want to achieve in your life? Be as honest as you can with yourself. And then I want you to think, why do I want to achieve that? Why would you want to achieve that? And lastly, what would my best friend or partner say that my goals are? All right, so hopefully you have been able to write some things down from there, and this has got us started on getting some goals, getting our idea around why it's so important to write goals, and getting some goals written down. So make sure that you stay tuned for our next part of this series, which is going to be all about creating new habits.
Thanks for listening to the Elliott's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you.
If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them. And ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.